Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners meeting for 9 a.m. Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. And the first item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So we did have one form filled out, a request just to discuss item number 3, and I'll support that this morning. So we're gonna, that'll be for the consent agenda. Is there any other requests for to speak on any topic not on the agenda? Is there anyone online? Okay, we do have someone online. Thank you for joining us. This is citizen input. Great, thank you. So you can unmute yourself and join us for citizen input.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My topic is not on the agenda. I would like to talk about what's currently happening on the dog control board.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Jason. I am part of Michael Winter family, and I really would like to bring to the attention of the board that the hearing was very unfair of the family, and we would like to have a fair hearing before our dogs are euthanized. I don't think that's too much to ask.
So yeah, I'll just acknowledge we were informed of the situation there. We have an email. I don't know if everybody's been able to follow that. And yeah, we're not going to probably discuss taking the next step right now, but I understand that topic. And yeah, thank you for the input on that. And as I say, I'll follow up personally after this meeting just to get the big picture.
My phone number is all over the commission's office. If someone can reach out, I'm not trying to bring it up at this meeting. I know I'm trying to be very respectful to everyone's concern and time, and I was trying to do this very professional and whatnot, and I want to do this the right way. But I really would. I have some evidence and whatnot. I really would like to discuss it with someone.
Okay,
So,
thank you very much. As I say, I will follow up with you.
I appreciate that, sir. I thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none at this time, consent agenda. As I say, there's a request just to learn a little bit more about item number 3, the Oregon Criminal Justice Commission Behavioral Health Deflection Program grant.
So we're going to pull that one?
Yeah, I'd just support that. Yeah, just get more info.
I still move that with pulling item number 3.
And moving the rest. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. There was one slight edit for the minutes. The local government advisory committee, LGAC, that you attend, Commissioner. Just the terminology it was in the minutes. Very end. There was a P instead of a C at the very end of it. So just clarity. Not the LGAP, but the LGAC. Okay, with that, anything else? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare, Commissioner Chang.
Yes.
And chair votes yes. So item number 3, authorization to apply for Oregon Criminal Justice Commission Behavioral Health Deflection Grant Program. So yeah, just a little bit introduction on the dynamics of the dollars that are coming and what we think we'll be able to do to empower ourselves with the deflection program.
Thank you, Commissioners, for having us up here. My name is Captain Michael Schultz of the Deschutes County Sheriff's Office, and I'm joined.
Hi, my name is Jessica Vanderpool. I'm the management analyst of the jail.
And as you know, in the last meeting, we had our deflection coordinator, Neil Marchington, come up and give some information regarding this grant that we've put in. And what we're asking for under House Bill 4002, dealing with misdemeanor crimes of those who are severely drug addicted, instead of coming to our jail, that we look for treatment plans. And that includes expungement with the DA's office, not prosecuting on level crimes, and actually trying to get individuals that are suffering on our streets the ability to change and give them some help so they can deal with these addictions and some of their crime elements, especially because much of the addiction brings them to a criminal activity. And if we can deal with that addiction, we can make individuals more productive in society. I always love being brought up here because I love this program. I love Deschutes County because we don't do it by ourselves. The sheriff's office had to make a commitment to let the outside into our jail. That's not common in the state of Oregon or probably in the United States because we do house dangerous offenders. But there is a balance, and this balance is getting those individuals that are really suffering low-level crimes, because we all know they're going to come back out on the street. And right now, we've been lucky to get this grant that we've been dealing with for about a year, and we have currently 30 people already enrolled in our program, and about 22 people who've already successfully have moved on. But those don't include the numbers of social referrals. For every one person that we get into our custody that may have had the crime we can divert, there are many of their friends, because these are communities all begging for help. Those people see somebody successfully moving on, and that encourages others to get help. May not go through our program. That's why we also need a healthy behavioral health or public health system operated under Holly Harris. Those relationships are extremely important to the jail system. Not to mention our private organizations. We team up with Ideal Option and Best Care, and they've been excellent partners in giving us navigators. When we need them, they show up. And that's the goal of our process. So I'll turn this over to Jessica if you want to talk a little bit about the numbers.
So this is, item to kind of receive those phase 1 and 2 dollars for this program.
Right, so they have divided this grant into 2 phases. So the first phase is actually happening this month, and it'll be about $311,000 that we're eligible for. And then we don't yet know what our portion of the second phase will be, but they're going to be putting that out in October for us to apply for the second phase. And kind of depending on how many counties are applying, and then they'll figure out a new criteria for the distribution of the remaining funds.
Great. Yeah, we see that a lot. There's a pool of dollars, and it's just how much engagement and the maturity of the programs and who's going to be able to spend the money wisely and be able to do good work.
Yeah, I'm proud of the state of Oregon to give, this doesn't come out of our general fund with the sheriff's office. We're able to make it work. If the program goes away, we'll be able to absorb our staff members in our program.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Oh, what a nice sound.
There you go.
Is that your wife?
No. But
I'm a
yeah.
very busy man.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us today. Any other questions? Good update.
I would just say that I hope that when they're developing their criteria for allocation of funds this go round, that they look at the track record that various counties have already established with this program. I think we would look very good compared to others in terms of our progress and our success. So I hope that they'll recognize that and invest where they know that the money is already making an impact and being put to good use.
Great. Thank you for the discussion. Is there a motion?
So moved, authorizing the submittal of the application for the Oregon Criminal Justice System Commission Behavioral Health Deflection Program Grant Phase 1 and Phase 2. Can we do Phase 2 without a dollar? Yes, you can. Okay.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare, Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and Chair will vote yes. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Schultz. I'm so glad you are still engaged in Deschutes County. It's appreciated every day.
So at this time, item number 9, a public hearing for text amendments for repeal of a state wildfire hazard map.
Hey, Commissioners, Will Groves, your planning manager, filling in for Kyle Collins, and thanks for having me here today. We've got a public hearing and we've got a hearing opening process to go through, and then I can give you a presentation on that. We can run a public hearing.
So this is the time and place set for hearing on file number 24725-425 TA concerning amendments to remove wildfire mitigation code standards for rural accessory dwelling units and as originally governed by the state wildfire hazard map. Staff will outline the hearing procedures that will be followed.
Thank you, Chair. Project website and full record is found at the link bit.ly/0425TA. And this will be a slide presentation. Good. So the board's decision on this application, this is hearing procedures, will be based upon the record, the staff report, and the testimony and evidence presented at this hearing and following the hearing. If the record is open, hearing will be conducted in the following order. Staff representing the county as the applicant will provide a brief report. Interested persons and agencies will present testimony and evidence, and there'll be closing remarks from staff and time for any questions. This is a hybrid hearing. Anybody in person who'd like to speak on this topic should fill out one of the blue sign-up sheets over by the door. And before starting testimony in any regard, please give us your name and first and last name, as well as mailing address. Remote participants, if you're participating remotely, you can attend using Zoom. Chair will request that Zoom participants that you use the raise hand function, and that can be done through the raise hand button in the app or *9 on your keypad.
Hold the mic a little closer.
Oh,
please.
thank you. *9 on your keypad.
There you go.
There we go. Hearing procedure, written testimony can be submitted to staff. In person, it can be handed to staff. For remote, it's going to be me. Email to willg@deschutes.org. A little change there. Of course, we're going to conduct an orderly and respectful hearing. And this is our time for commissioner disclosures.
So I would acknowledge this is a legislative text amendment for the county. Does any commissioner have anything to disclose? And if so, please state the nature of same and whether you can proceed.
I don't have anything to disclose, and I believe I can proceed.
This is a legislative matter, and everyone knows I've been very outspoken about the need for requirements for defensible space and home hardening to improve the resiliency of our homes and our community from wildfire. But I don't have anything to disclose in terms of a conflict of interest, and I can proceed.
And I can also proceed, no conflicts or anything to disclose. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner, a member of this hearings body, based on conflicts of interest? Is there anyone online with the raised hand feature? So seeing none, the hearing is now open. Staff will proceed with a brief staff report on the topic.
Thank you, commissioners. The proposal before you here today is to amend the Deschutes County Code to remove local wildfire hazard mitigation standards for rural accessory dwelling units. In 2021, Senate Bill 391 passed and authorized an owner of a lot of parcel in a rural residential exception area to construct one ADU, subject to certain regulations, including wildfire mitigation. In 2021, also 762 Senate bill was passed to modernize and improve wildfire preparedness. And in 2023, it was modified by the passage of Senate Bill 80. One of the primary components of Senate Bill 762 was the creation of a comprehensive state wildfire hazard map, and that guides wildfire mitigation regulations for new development, including ADUs. In 2025, due to public concern, the state legislature repealed the hazard map and associated requirements in June with the passage of Senate Bill 83 and 75. The sections of the Deschutes County Code which implement our rural ADUs still contain standards left over from that former hazard map, and local code amendments are necessary to maintain conformance with state requirements for rural ADUs. After adoption of the hazard map, properties that were located in both a high hazard area and a WUI, a wildland urban interface area, were subject to requirements such as R327 standards and defensible space standards. The proposed amendments would remove all references to the hazard map and associated wildfire mitigation standards from the ADU sections of Deschutes County Code. In addition to repealing the hazard map, Senate Bill 83 establishes a process for local governments to adopt local wildfire mitigation standards. However, these standards have not been established by the state at this time. In terms of agency and public comment, no agency comments have been received to date, and one public comment was received supportive of the proposed amendments. This was brought before the Planning Commission at a work session, and they broadly discussed the proposal and acknowledged the necessity of these changes. So for next steps, we'll conduct the public hearing, and following that, we can continue the hearing to a date and time certain, close the hearing and leave the written record open, or close the hearing and set a date for deliberations, or finally, as suggested in the agenda request, close the hearing, commence deliberations, and proceed to first and second reading with adoption by emergency. And I'll leave up this slide. This is contact information again for the record. And Kyle Collins will be out. So willg@deschutes.org, 541-388-6518. And I'm available for questions.
Great. Any questions?
Well, in one of your slides, you said that the state had not, when now under the new legislation, we are allowed at the local level to establish standards for wildfire resiliency, but you said that the state had not established those standards yet. I think it should have been that we haven't established those standards yet, because if the state's not going to do that for us, it's up to us at this point.
That's a good clarification. So of course, the R327 standards have been updated on a temporary basis by the Building Codes Division, with an expected permanent update coming with the new year, if I understand that correctly. And so as of the creation of these materials, that temporary provision hadn't been put in place. The new R327 standards are different than the old R327 standards in that they're not mandatory. They have to be chosen by a local jurisdiction, and they can only be applied to the construction of new dwellings. Old R327 standards were available for either, for remodels in certain circumstances. So, certainly we'll be back to you as you've directed with a work plan to see how the board would like to engage with those new opportunities. But at this time, we've got those temporary standards in place, so it's at least theoretically possible for the board to make a choice. In addition, another provision here was the defensible space, and we understand that the state fire marshal will be working through the end of the year to create a recommended code for our local jurisdictions and some coordinating functions there. Again, something we anticipate, but nothing yet from the state on that. So two different issues, both of them very important in protecting residences from wildfire.
Thank you.
So this is a public hearing on the matter. Are there any agencies at this time available for a comment on this topic? Anybody to request to speak on this topic in support or opposition for changing this code? Anyone online? So seeing none, next steps.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. No closing remarks from me. And,
Okay.
We can proceed to one of those post-hearing options.
Great. So we'll close this public hearing if there's support for that in the oral and written form. This is a county initiated text amendment process to align with state law at this point. As we talked about in the work session, if we didn't do this, the result's the same basically also. So by cleaning up this code, it just gives clarity to somebody coming in to talk about development in the near future. And I do support that there's more conversation to be had on this topic. So there's support for closing the hearing
Yes.
and get to deliberations.
Yes.
Okay, so this time we'll proceed with deliberations. So this is to be adopted by ordinance, effective immediately is the discussion. Big picture, Deschutes County proper, we did do a kind of a wildfire hazard map exercise years ago now, and I was involved with that. And the conclusion was that Deschutes County proper is in a high wildfire hazard area. So it's hard to discern between one property and the next, and even forested area opposed to open areas, because we've seen large, open field grass fires in the parts of the state that just take over. Any wind-driven event, hot, dry day can be detrimental to any human development. So as I say, there's big picture discussions to be had there. But yeah, I do support this package as presented to take this step. Anything else?
Well, as I said the other day, I really feel that we need these standards today. And I thought we could actually be stricter than the state code, but we could never be more lenient than the state code. But apparently we have to go through this X-ray exercise. And, I do believe we need to bring this back as soon as possible, Will, Yeah, because I can just see somebody building something in the next 2 months or, going in and this will be what they can deal with instead of stronger standards for where we live.
Yes, thank you. Definitely a priority item here, and excited to have Kyle has some anticipated exciting family medical leave. Maybe why he's out today. So as soon as he's returned from that, we'll be kicking off this process with you.
Okay, good.
Well, I would just say that I'm glad that we can move forward with these text amendments to clarify the process and simplify the process for the construction of ADUs that we really need for our housing stock in the region. I think it's very unfortunate that we're having to go through this very convoluted pathway to get to that, to get to those opportunities for ADUs. The repeal of the state wildfire hazard map and the associated wildfire standards was a very unfortunate misinformation-driven process. And we have missed out on the opportunity to protect our homes and our communities from wildfire, particularly our neighbors, who we hear so often about people in Deschutes County who have done the work at their houses, but their neighbors haven't done any of the work that's needed. And as a result, the people who've done the work are no better off and are no safer than they were before, because their neighbor's house could burn theirs to the ground. So it's really unfortunate that we've had this very long misinformation-driven battle about these standards at the state level, and I hope that we can proceed very quickly to establish appropriate standards at the local level, again, to protect our homes, our communities, and to ensure that everyone in a neighborhood is doing the work that they need to do.
Actually, the houses in the country are a lot further apart than the houses when I drive up Newport Avenue and I see the dried up wood fences, and I've repeated it, I don't know how many times. Please put some fire coat product on that fence. I know it's extremely expensive to like rip it out, replace it, but a lot of those wood fences are built right up to the houses. And I know I believe we had a lightning strike in Bend on the east side of town, a couple weeks ago when we had a lot of lightning, but I feel that in the country, it's the houses at least are not right next door. So we'll see what happens, but it's, I don't have a problem getting rid of the maps. We had over 21,000 properties that got labeled high risk. And really, we're all at high risk because this is where we live.
So do you anticipate that when we do our local standards and we establish a local map, because you're going to need a map to move forward with standards, that there will be less properties identified as high hazard?
I think we have an old map from quite a few years ago that we could look at that one first and see.
Yeah, that showed a lot more of Deschutes County as high hazard than the state wildfire hazard map did. The problem with the state wildfire hazard map was there were so many exceptions made for people who didn't believe what the data said about their homes, that it really ended up being basically Swiss cheese. So what we needed to do to improve the state map was actually identify more areas as high hazard.
Listen, I live next to an evacuation spot that was used, I believe in 2012 for staging for fires, and it's, irrigated, hay ranch, and yet I'm considered high risk. So it's a game out there. And, if we live in the country, we love it for a lot of reasons. And I just wanted to point out that all the wood fences I see really need to be addressed and taken care of. And people need to clean their trees off their roofs, clean out their needles. I mean, there's a lot of things I could, in LA County, they would come to your house every year and they had a note, and they would check off if you need to do something. And then if you didn't do it, the LA County Fire Department would do it for you. Now, we see how well that worked with the fire in the Palisades and the damage that it's done, but they actually were on top of it on an annual basis. And you wouldn't want them to do the work because they would charge you $4,000 when maybe it was a $500 project. So I just feel like people need to be aware and, everyone.
These hazard maps are built around a couple of simple variables that are they are facts. They are not they're not subjective criteria. Things like topography, history of ignitions, surrounding vegetation. So I'm curious with your property that you are not happy about the state map identifying as high hazard. If we take a look at our earlier efforts at the local level in Deschutes County and they identify your property as high hazard, will you oppose that designation?
Gosh, shouldn't have brought up my property, should I? No, I actually saw where the west side of Sisters was moderate and the east side of Sisters was high danger, where all the pivots are, where all the hayfields are. So, I drive through it a lot and we will see what actually people do.
So the west side of Sisters was identified as moderate hazard because of the very significant tens of thousands of acres of hazardous fuels reduction work that's been done in the forests.
Right. And I saw all the homeless people yesterday when I drove to Portland. So, and didn't we just have a fire in East Antler? Yes, we did. And I believe it was human caused. So, that adds to the issue of who's starting the fires. Is it lightning strikes or is it people? And we have work to do, and I'm really proud of the city of Sisters because their standards, aren't their standards really going up, Will?
Yeah, so, they're subject to the same state regulations that we are, but at least previously they had looked at doing a citywide requirement for R327 construction. This was in response to, certainly some of the fires we saw outside of Denver that, appear,
Boulder?
well, outside.
Boulder burned down in December. Yeah.
exactly.
And all the houses were right close together and they could not get a handle on it because the wind was blowing.
And
You have the
they
wind
weren't
blowing.
near, what had traditionally been thought of WUIs, in some ways that there weren't the large forestation, that wind, a combination of wind and grasslands can set off these fires. So I think the way that the city of Sisters, and we'll see if how they proceed with this, the way that they're dodging kind of the question that the two of you are raising now is not having a hazard map and saying, look, fires happen everywhere. R327 happens everywhere. And presumably, I think the hope is from listening to the kind of their staff talk that by not designating areas that they won't be setting off the fear that there'll be differential insurance responses to that, to the extent that the whole jurisdiction says, hey, we're going to ask you all to take additional precautions for new dwellings, rather than labeling some properties you're high hazard, you're not hazard, and all the difficulty that comes with that mapping. They're a small jurisdiction. Not presupposing a process that we haven't even kicked off in front of you for that mapping, but just noting that, the avoidance of mapping is one way to avoid a lot of the frustrations that's come with it. And instead, applying that to everyone who, if there's a fantastic video that comes out of, I think it's the University of Montana about ember storms, and, you can be miles away from the fire. And if you don't have an R327 house, you'll suck embers into your attic and burn down.
That's what happened in the 93 fire that went around my house. A house burned down because it was sucked in. It was a brand new house, in fact. And so you see that and that that's critical, that 3 mile, please stop using bark and bend. Mulch is really not the way to go because those, if they ignite and the wind is there, they can go for miles.
This video is fantastic in that it's done in a warehouse. It's a simulated ember storm. There's gutters that either have pine needles in them and bark up to the side of the house or not. They do it in 2 scenarios, and one house goes up so fast and the other one survives it.
So this is the follow-on discussion. Today is truly just aligning with state law and cleaning up the chapter of the text. Since the 90s, Deschutes County's had our Project Wildfire efforts, best practices, neighborhood associations coming to the table, advocating for defensible space, cleanup, and then also my experience was we did build a house in 2018, and basically it is our 327 standard already. Sometimes when you pull the plans off the shelf and you think, okay, how am I going to build your house? You lean towards that cement siding and some of these best practices already. So, but that's the follow-on discussion to this. The Planning Commission will be right in the middle of it before it even comes back to us. So I'm supportive of these discussions, but also just the heightened awareness. Today's the middle of August, the 13th of August, and red flag warnings out there today, which means hot, dry, possibly windy. So any spark ember could start a fire. So let's all be vigilant, especially today.
Well, I'm particularly thankful that my house was built in 2005 and it's R327 siding. And I had no idea at the time. So when I tried to hammer into it, that went nowhere. And, but to think that those people knew that, that's really, I'm surprised that it's taken us this long to actually, go really more on a conservative, safer basis for people when they're investing hundreds of thousands of dollars into a house, not to do it as safe as possible.
Yeah. You two have just given some great examples of why people who say that this is going to be extremely onerous, that these are not standard practices, that they will add costs to the to the construction of a typical home in our area are not accurate. And again, that was a big part of the push to oppose these statewide standards, because people said, "Oh, this is going to add $20,000 to the cost of a home," which is a number that is completely unsubstantiated by data. Places where they have actually studied these things, like Colorado, what they find is maybe a couple $1,000s more. And the value, the benefit of those additional investments in terms of potentially creating a different, potentially giving your home the chance to survive a fire instead of almost certainly being burned to the ground is a pretty small amount to pay.
Well, I just heard a wonderful story about goats this morning. We haven't talked about goats lately. Anyway, and what a terrific job they do in cleanup. So folks, we do have goats in Terrebonne, 500 of them. If you've got a property that needs cleanup, get a hold of me and I will share Scott's number with you. It's really nice to know what they can do. And then someone else just suggested to me, why don't we give everyone $200 for each juniper tree they take down? How many juniper trees could we afford to get rid of? So you heard them exploding when you
$2. I don't know, 200.
I don't know. Well, that was
kind
so,
of money.
well, it was probably, anyway, I just
So-
thought it was a
Saved
fabulous
a little-
idea.
A lot of money.
So as I say, as a rural property owner and advocacy for other property owners, just in the mornings, like this morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's just beautiful weather before it gets hot. Just do one little thing. Go cut that branch down that's hanging over your eaves, get up on a ladder and pull out the needles, contract with somebody to clean up some needles, pull down one tree at a time that's real close to your property. There's ways to make it better over time instead of just sitting there worrying about it too. But as I say, these are the topics that are going to come back on this in this domain. Is there any other deliberations or a motion to adopt this ordinance?
We could keep talking.
I know, we could go.
Yes, we could.
Well, I'll look forward to the discussion when we're actually considering local standards.
And
Um,
it needs to be as soon as possible too.
There you
know
go.
that. I don't. Yeah, it would be great. So, well, let's see. I would recommend that we adopt ordinance number 2025-015 by, do I say emergency, effective immediately?
First, we would want to do first and second reading by title only.
Oh.
So move to approve first and second reading of ordinance number 2025-015 by title only.
So moved. Yes, that sounds like what I want to say.
So it's been moved and seconded for first and second reading. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. This is first reading of ordinance number 2025-015, an ordinance amending Deschutes County Code Title 18 zoning ordinance and Title 19 Bend Urban Area zoning ordinance to repeal non-conforming wildfire hazard mitigation standards in compliance with state law and declaring an emergency. Second reading of ordinance number 2025-015, an ordinance amending Deschutes County Code Title 18 zoning ordinance and Title 19 Bend Urban Area zoning ordinance to repeal non-conforming wildfire hazard mitigation standards in compliance with state law and declaring an emergency. Is there a motion for adoption?
I will move adoption of ordinance number 2025-015
I'll second.
Just to clarify by emergency.
by emergency.
And seconded?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner Dare,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Okay, so that was our action item for today. I was thinking we are going to be done in 30 minutes. We're just at 35 today, so we're getting there. Other items? Anything? Whitney?
No.
Okay,
Next week, there will be a first story celebration for the Elder family moving into a home in South Bend. That I would love to attend if the schedule works. It's Wednesday, the 20th at 11:30. So if we have the options to more heavily load the Monday board meeting, to shorten the Wednesday, I would appreciate us doing that.
what about coming back in the afternoon possibly, just as an option?
That's fine.
Yeah, so next Wednesday, we can work around that. So that's the 20th. And yeah, we'll fill in the agenda as appropriate. And so I do support that. Leadership Redmond had sent us a request for financial support for a sponsorship. Just bringing that up here for the three of us to acknowledge if we want to support in some fashion. I think it's been $600 in the past, $300 last year. So is there support for just kind of working? I mean, maybe it's just a quarterly discretionary grant that we route them to, but this was a email that we all got.
I know I did see our tax revenue numbers actually came out ahead by what, $100-some thousand. So,
This would be video lottery. probably.
right, I know, but I'm just saying,
Yep, another number.
economically speaking, yeah, I'd like to go back to supporting them with $600. We don't do anything elsewise. And, they do a lot of really great things for the Redmond Terrebonne community.
Do we also provide the support for Leadership Bend?
Yeah, so as I say, this is just an email to respond to.
Only fair to.
Yeah, so we'll just ask to get organized on that path, so, and do it at a future meeting, so. Okay, anything else for this board meeting? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.